coming off a busy weekend following camp action over off Bryant Drive. You had official visitors. And Hank, as we bring you on a commitment that you reported on here in the last 24 hours that we had outlined or previewed, I guess, whether it was on the Built by Bama online podcast or here on Southern Fried Sports, might be coming down the pike. And it looks as if that is the case.
Yeah, we've been talking about Florida State offensive line grad transfer Landon Dickerson for, I guess it feels like about a month now, as far as being a potential addition via the transfer portal for Alabama. And on over the weekend, he took his official visit to Tuscaloosa. Obviously, he's been there in the past. He was originally a member of the 2016 class and was a big Alabama target back then as well. So he took another visit down to Tuscaloosa, spoke with Nick Saban yesterday, spent time with the coaching staff and all that good stuff. And yesterday we were told he opted to commit to Alabama. It's been trending that way for a while, but it was made official yesterday, and he's going to finish up some stuff at Florida State as far as schoolwork goes, and then he's going to report to camp in August. So a big-time addition for Alabama's offensive line. He was a 24/7 Sports 5-star prospect. He's been kind of plagued by injuries throughout his career at Florida State, but he's healthy again, and he's got 2 years left to play. So that's probably the biggest note as far as that goes. But a big commitment for Alabama, and one that'll definitely bolster that offensive line room.
Yeah, Hank, he's generally regarded as an offensive tackle, and I know Alabama fans and maybe even college football observers in general look at Alabama's offensive tackle situation right now and think, well, Alex Leatherwood, Jedrick Wills, they're in good shape. But depth is always a concern. And is this a guy you think that could maybe project inside at guard? Because we see Alabama do that a good bit. Just look at Alex Leatherwood in 2018.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I believe he started as a true freshman at guard for Florida State back in the 2016 season. I think he was one of the first true freshman offensive linemen to start for Florida State. I think some long period of time. So I certainly think he could project to the inside, and I think that that makes the most sense as far as where he could contribute earliest in his career, as far as competing during camp on the interior, since that's still somewhat up in the air. With some guys entering fall camp. So we'll see, and then obviously beyond the 2019 season, he can certainly he's going to have 1 year left to play. So he's assuming a guy like Alex Leatherwood or Jedrick Wills or assuming those guys move on to the NFL after the 19 seasons, we'll see about that. But he could certainly help there.
Now, we know what Alabama was able to accomplish along the defensive front in this 2019 class. 6 high-end to elite-type prospects that Alabama signed as a part of that cycle. And still I see the Crimson Tide hosting another couple of potentially really, really good defensive linemen for the upcoming class. How realistic is to think that Alabama can build on that momentum given the numbers, the quality numbers that they were able to land in their latest recruiting effort?
I think it's very realistic. We haven't seen any slowdown as far as big-time defensive linemen visiting. Of course, Alabama has 2 committed already in Jason Jones and Jamarian Latham. Both of those players are taking visits elsewhere, so obviously Alabama is still going to recruit the position as if those guys aren't on board because they have to. But over the weekend, they had 2 really impressive defensive linemen on campus, and Miles Murphy, a 4-star defensive end out of North Carolina, and Jacobian Guillory, a 4-star defensive tackle out of Louisiana. Both those guys, I think Bama, they've impressed. Jacobian Guillory especially. He said Bama's at the top of his list alongside LSU. It's going to come down to one of those 2 schools, and history would tell you that Alabama has a lot of success getting those top defensive linemen out of the state of Louisiana in recent cycles. You just look last year with Ishmael Sopsher. Miles Murphy, a lot of people think he's headed to South Carolina. I think Bama, they made their case this weekend for him. I'm not sure if they're the leader for him, but I think they're in that top 2 or 3 for Miles Murphy with an official visit to North Carolina left to go for him. And then even Justin Rogers, he's rated the number 1 guard in the country. He's committed to Kentucky. He was on an official visit to Alabama this weekend, but he's a guy that can play defensive line as well. So a versatile player there that can kind of do a few different things for Alabama, and they certainly impressed him as well. So there's really no slowdown as far as elite defensive linemen go, and those are just three of them. We're talking, Bama has had plenty on campus this spring and summer, and they're going to have plenty more going forward.
As we wrap up with Hank South of BamaOnline.com on Southern Fried Sports, presented by Mercedes-Benz of Tuscaloosa, five-star athlete Eric Gilbert returned to Alabama this weekend. He's from Marietta, Georgia. I guess Alabama is viewing Gilbert maybe as a tight end prospect. Georgia has been trending for Gilbert. Where does the Crimson Tide stand following the weekend for this elite prospect?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think heading into the weekend, it was Georgia, obviously, and even Tennessee, isn't it? His quarterback at Marietta, Harrison Bailey's actually committed to Tennessee, so that's a factor there. But I still think it's probably a battle between those teams and Clemson as well for Eric Gilbert. But I think Alabama helped themselves for him. He went with his family. His mom was alongside with him, and she's obviously a big factor in the decision. And by all accounts, she had a great time, and she actually really likes Alabama, so that's certainly helping there. But I think they helped themselves. And one interesting note with Eric Gilbert is he plans to make a decision before his senior season. This next weekend is the last time recruits can take official visits until the season. And so, he told us he's going to be possibly at an unofficial visit at Clemson. But as far as official visits go, they may come. The remainder of his official visits may come after he makes a decision. So, Bama got that official visit in before he announces, assuming he still does, and certainly, gave him a lot to think about. He's got a really close relationship with Jeff Banks, and obviously thinks highly of Nick Saban. So they've helped themselves, I think, for Eric Gilbert, but how much we'll see, but certainly in the mix.
Hank, it's been 5 or 6 days since Alabama picked up an outside linebacker commitment. What's the problem?
Right. Yeah, they're just rolling, and I know Charles Power put up a story about Bama they're putting together a hellacious linebacker class, and I don't think it's over just yet. We're keeping an eye out for Will Anderson, who's expected to announce the decision today, another top 100 player that could certainly bolster that linebackers class. So we'll be keeping an eye on him. Bama's facing Georgia Tech and LSU for him, but it looks like they're in good position.
Well, there you go. I knew one had to be coming soon. I mean, it has been since last Tuesday or Wednesday. Come on, Hank. Get on top of this stuff. Hey, Hank, as always, appreciate you joining the show. Always great work there at BamaOnline.com. Look forward to doing it again real soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, Travis.